Hello and welcome. My name is Stefan Poschik from CHC Corporate Health Consulting, and you are watching our next interview series from our CHC Expert Series. Today, I have a great person, and we are going to talk about a super interesting topic, and I'm going to tell it right after I introduce her. So the reason why I wanted to do this interview is because I never heard this frame or this wording before. And I think it is a really interesting concept, and a lot of corporations should think about it and could use it. So before we start with the actual content, hello and welcome, Cristina. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone out there. My name is Cristina DiGiacomo, and I'm a philosopher. I teach business leaders and CEOs about philosophy. And you could look at it very simply. Socrates said the unexamined life is not worth living. And that is a principle that I think is super critical for anyone. I mean, anyone who's living life, but also who's out there in the workplace and leading and running organizations or running teams, or even if you're just an individual contributor, an employee, to be able to think deeply about what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it has so many benefits. And so one of the things that I'm really passionate about is helping people connect to these words of wisdom that we've had access to for 2,500 years, that are timeless, that are universal, that are meant to be helpful and also practical. And so what I do is I make philosophy accessible and practical for people. And my focus is on business and the workplace.
That's awesome, Cristina. And that's exactly why I wanted to do this interview with you, that you are doing this practical, because you mentioned a phrase or a term in our last conversation. So you said basically you are an industrial philosopher, or you are doing industrial philosophy. What's that?
Yeah, sure. So it's sort of a play on industrial psychology, but what industrial philosophy is, how I define it, is utilizing philosophical concepts and principles for the betterment of an organization or an individual in an organization as a whole. And essentially it combines, or I combined and created this category because I have, 20 years of experience as an executive and a leader, 4 years as an entrepreneur and business owner, with 12 years of study in practical philosophy and a master's in organizational change. And so what I found is when I grouped all these three things together, my experience out in the field, really thinking about all of these philosophical ideas and understanding the way an organization is supposed to run, how leaders are supposed to work and be efficient and actualized in their leadership, I basically merged all these three aspects into this core idea called industrial philosophy. So it's taking philosophy and its methodology, but its ideas, and being able to use those principles and values and help an organization either develop their culture, helping a leader develop themselves as a leader or their leadership principles. It's really about being wiser in the workplace.
That's awesome. So basically what one of my companies is doing, we are supporting corporations to have a better employee engagement, increase productivity, but especially have a better leadership and corporate culture. So for example, how can you use industrial philosophy to increase employee engagement or have a better corporate culture, a better leadership culture?
Absolutely. So we begin with what we're working with, right? What are the current organizational values? What are the current organizational principles? And what I've found is in a lot of instances, employees or people at the management level sometimes may feel a bit disconnected from these sort of larger values, larger ideals within their organization. And there's a lot of research that's currently been done around people and teams vocalizing that they just have kind of lost the plot in terms of what they're doing, why they're doing it. How does their work contribute to a greater goal? So what I would do is be able to take these company principles, tie them to something that's been said either by Socrates or Emerson, the ancient Greeks, even Indian philosophy or Asian Eastern philosophy, and create a bridge between and sharing these ideas to create that bridge between the company values and principles and what the employees are actually experiencing and how they view. And we do this through discussion, even understanding what do these values even mean? How do they even relate to me? And doing deeper dives and deeper thinking so that these values are embodied in something that teams and employees can easily understand and then actually practice and live through their work and manifest it through their work.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Do you see a difference between, for example, younger age groups or older age groups when it comes to especially this purpose? I don't know why I'm doing this job. I don't know what's really the outcome of this job and all these things. So do you see a huge difference between age groups here?
So here's what's interesting. I believe that every single person wants to have a purpose. That's just who we are as human beings. So this is a universal idea. I want my work to have meaning. I want to matter. I want to do things that make a difference either in my life or in the lives of others. This doesn't matter whether you're an older person or I'm Gen X or millennial or Gen Z. What's happened that from a generational standpoint is the attitude around work has shifted. So the internal sense is the same. This is what's beautiful about this, is that everyone can agree cross-generationally that having purpose and meaning is important. But what's happened is the attitudes generationally around work has changed. So younger generations have now said, you know what, it's okay to talk about purpose. It's okay to talk about meaning. Whereas in older generations, you didn't really talk about that. It wasn't something that was, you didn't really have the permission structures in place in an organization to be able to have those kinds of discussions. So that's really what it is. It's more of a structural difference throughout the generations versus a philosophical difference. There is no difference philosophically.
Oh, that's great. I really like this differentiation between everybody needs or wants to have a purpose, but the attitude shifted. So I really, really like this because I think a lot of people are mixing this up and are not differentiating this enough in my experience from our projects. So when a company wants to start leveraging the opportunities from industrial philosophy, where can they start? How can they start?
So it depends on who's starting, right? So it's going to look different between a CEO and a department head or an HR person. But where they really have to start is within themselves. And I say that because there is value in working from the inside out. So looking to philosophy for your own development and your own, whether it's personal development or your professional development, especially when it comes to, how you're approaching your work, how you're approaching decision making, how you're approaching looking at the people that you work with and interacting with the people that you work with. So what happens is when people practice and really lead sort of a philosophical work life, what happens is that it begins to expand out. Mm-hmm. I've worked with many leaders who started this process just with themselves. And all of a sudden, they would report back that people were interacting with them differently. They felt that things flowed a lot better. They felt more connected with what they were doing and more connected to the people that they worked with. And then so the influence there started to come out. And when they feel more comfortable to be able to share their practice and share their ideas around, how they've been looking at things a little bit more philosophically, chances are most people start to get on board. Yeah. So it's really a process of starting with yourself, allowing that to expand out, and then seeing the opportunities at a larger level to have an impact to change the thinking or influence the thinking in the systems that are built structurally within an organization, because that's an opportunity as well. Many organizations work at very fast-paced, very high stakes, and there isn't a lot of that sort of thinking before the thinking, or thinking about how we think about something built into the process. And so what I've discovered in my work with leaders and managers is when they start with themselves, they then realize, we need to build some thinking time into the process or throughout the process of of our workflows and the things that we do. And that benefits everyone.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Starting from the inside should be the perfect approach. Also, when you want to have leadership development, leadership growth programs, trainings, and stuff like that. So basically, they should start from the inside, because you can just be a great leader if you worked massively on yourself before you try to do something with your team or things like that. So I like this approach very much.
Can I say one more thing about that?
Of course.
One of the challenges that people have is they no one likes to listen to someone that doesn't walk the walk.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So, you could be someone in a position of authority who's sort of doling out instruction or, things that need to be done. But if people don't feel that you're doing the work yourself, they're not going to be invested in the act or in the tasks. And this also brings to mind really one of my favorite quotes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, which is, "In you is your inward leader." Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, that in and of itself is a mantra that managers and leaders can kind of embody, and to remind them, work on yourself, and then it all sort of comes out in the end.
Yeah. No, I agree. That's really, really great. So where do you want to go with this? What's your vision for the future for the industrial philosophy or for your own business journey?
So I really love groups, right? Getting people together in like thinking groups or masterminds. And so my vision is for there to be philosophical or deep thinking groups in every company. And some companies actually have the opportunity to hire or bring on a chief philosophy officer. And there have been many articles written about how companies need chief philosophy officers to help do this within the organization. But for me, I think it's just wonderful to watch, you know, a group of people come together around an issue or a challenge or a topic and be able to take the time to think more deeply about it, or maybe the history of it, or talk through their own opinions and perspectives about this one thing, and actually really get to know themselves in the process, and be able to interact and have an intellectually stimulating or a stimulating conversation, which only expands their mind and their thinking, which then flows into their work. So my vision is philosophy groups in every company and chief philosophy officers being an actual, real, true role in maybe larger enterprise organizations.
I really love this vision, and I think the humanity in corporations and also the purpose or the values would be so much bigger if this is already established. So I love it, really. Perfect. Cristina, thank you so much for sharing what you are doing, and especially what you basically created with this term, industrial philosophy. So let me ask you a little bit more about your entrepreneurial journey. You told us before that you are already 4 years an entrepreneur. So what are you most excited about at the moment?
I am excited about my business model is really around groups and masterminds and creating guided spaces for deeper thinking. That's what I do. And when I first started out, I hadn't really thought that this was something that I would be good at. So I had to go through 4 years of trying a bunch of things to finally realize like this is what I really love to do. And but I have to say, I know this sounds strange, but I had to apply philosophical thinking to my own entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, I probably would not have gotten to the place that I am right now, because it required a lot of being willing to experiment, being willing to also not go with whatever everyone else is doing, right? When you're an entrepreneur, there's a lot of noise. You have to do this, you have to do that, you have to, there's a lot of people telling you that the way they did something was super successful, so you should do it too. And one of the things about being a philosophical person is to really truly think critically, not necessarily criticize, but think critically and always be grounded in what's best for you and doing what feels like the right thing to do. And so that was really important for me. And my philosophical training enabled me to kind of buck convention and create something that is uniquely me and uniquely mine and successful. And so I attribute philosophy to helping me be a successful entrepreneur. And, you know, I'm one of like 3 people maybe in the world that do what I do. So it's very, very niche. So if I can do it, anyone can do it, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I definitely love this. And as I already said, I think more people should use concepts like you are doing, because the culture is changing and the companies are changing massively. And I'm in this business since over 23 years in the meantime. So I already saw a lot of things change inside of companies, and also when it comes to who is an attractive employer, or what is an attractive company for the future, who wants to work in this company, what is really interesting, where do I want to go, and all these things. So I think the concept is really has a massive potential for the future, and I wish you definitely all the best for this. So I am sure that a lot of people want to know more about this and also want to reach out to you when they listen to this interview. So what's the best way to connect with you? What's the best way to get in contact with you?
Definitely LinkedIn. I love connecting with people, but LinkedIn also, because that way I can follow what the people connect with me are doing. And that's why I really would love for people to connect with me on LinkedIn, because I love learning about new people and what they're working on and following people. And so LinkedIn is just the best.
That's awesome. Cristina, thank you so much for your time and for your valuable insights. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look forward to continue our conversation of this interview. But thank you again so much for all your insights you just shared with us.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you to all your listeners, and just connect with Cristina and use it in your own business, or think how you can implement it immediately in your corporation. So see you soon in our next episode of our CHC expert sessions. Thanks for now. Bye.